Grace. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantikoti Vaishnavindi Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasri Go Bhaktivedanta Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Shama Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivedanta Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the simple devotees. All glories to the simple devotees. All glories to the simple devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. So again, before I begin, it's going to be a last-minute class. I'll do the best I can and try to take the blessings from all the senior devotees, especially we have Hari Sari and Bhaktisiddhanta and Jivanath and the publisher of so many books, Ishvara Das, back here. So today is also the appearance day of Sri Madhavendra Puri, Sri Madhavendra Puri Ki, and also Srinivasacharya. So I'm going to try to at least mention some things of them also, because they're also very important in our lineage, as we know. This mood of separation from Krishna was introduced into our parampara by Sri Madhavendra Puri. And they say the first book distributor in our Gaudiya Sampradaya is Srinivasacharya Ki. Of course, he has many other contributions to this Krishna conscious movement. But we'll begin with Bhagavatam. I can't see that. What's the first verse? 15 to 19. Okay. 8:17, 15 to 19. Okay. 16. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And on top of that, I'm starting late also. So, okay. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 16, executing the Payovrata process of worship. And we'll be reading from 16 to 19. I'll just read the English for these. Okay, gotcha. I'll read the English and then we'll chant the Sanskrit on text 19. So this is Aditi speaking to her husband, Kashyapa Muni. And as we know, at this point, the demons headed by Bali have gained the favor of the Brahmanas, headed by Sukacharya, and have gained enough power that when they attacked Indraloka, Indra realized it's a loss. And Brihaspati told them, I think it's better you just go hide at this moment because they have too much power. They've been blessed by the Brahmanas. So that in itself is astounding in a sense, why Brahmanas are blessing demons, but they perform their duty. And Aditi, being their mother now, she's lamenting because her sons have lost their position. So, text 15, she speaks. Therefore, she's speaking to Kashyapa Muni. There we go, that's better. Therefore, most gentle Lord, kindly favor your maidservants. We have now been deprived of our opulence and residence by our competitors, the demons. Kindly give us protection. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Aditi, the mother of the demigods, appealed to Kashyapa Muni to give the demigods protection. When we speak of the demigods, this also includes their mother. Text 16. The demons, our formidable, powerful enemies, have taken away our opulence, our beauty, our fame, and even our residence. Indeed, we have now been exiled, and we are drowning in an ocean of trouble. So this is the material world, isn't it? O best of sages, best of all those who grant auspicious benedictions, please consider our situation and bestow upon my sons the benedictions by which they can regain what they have lost. Text 18. Shukadeva Goswami continued, when Kashyapa Muni was thus requested by Aditi, he slightly smiled. At last, he said, how powerful is the illusionary energy of Lord Vishnu, by which the entire world is bound by affection for children. Purport. Kashyapa Muni was surely sympathetic to his wife's affliction, yet he was surprised at how the whole world is influenced by affection. So just a quick comment here, we see the two mindsets. Somehow Aditi, even though she's very elevated personality, the demigods have taken birth from her womb. Her husband is Kashyapa, one of the current Prajapati. And yet, somehow or another, this affection for the children has overcome her. Of course, we know on the higher level, this is all the Leela of for Krishna's pleasure, so that he can appear as Vamanadev. But we're going to analyze this on at least the second level, as a Madhyamadikari. To see that someone who is so elevated still is affected in this way. And Kashyapa Muni, returning from his meditation, it still has some transcendental vision. But he has his wife also. So he has to balance it. He can't just tell her, you're not the body, you're not the mind, just go chant Hare Krishna. It's kind of like I joined in 74. I think it was the same probably when they were first joined. Anything happened, what did they tell you? Oh, just chant Hare Krishna, isn't it? We didn't take any time for mental illness. No, just chant Hare Krishna, Prabhu, it'll be fine. You don't need medicines, you don't need. So, this is a dynamic we have to deal with constantly, this mixture of matter and spirit. Actually, there's no duality for one who is fully realized. He knows how to act in all circumstances. And it's all spiritual, because in the end, what is our ultimate goal as Vaishnavas? To satisfy the Supreme Person of Godhead, and more particularly for us, and especially in ISKCON, we want to satisfy our founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, isn't it? So this is our main focus. But at the same time, we have these bodies. They're actually, the bodies are, I can't remember the Sanskrit word, but they're kind of unnecessary. They are an impediment. Right? You always have to do something for them. You have to eat, you have to sleep, you have to defend. You don't have to mate, but in some cases you may have to, but all this can be done in Krishna service. And you have to balance that with trying to fulfill the order of the spiritual master. So anyway, Kashyapa is in this situation, and he expertly handles it. But his first reaction is this transcendental statement, how he sees it. Wow, just looking at his wife, look how powerful the illusionary energy is. You know, because Aditi is a very elevated person, but still that affection for the children is touching her. That doesn't mean it's necessarily Maya. It's not that we don't have affection for anyone because I'm Krishna conscious. So, you know, I can hit you with a steel bar and you don't feel pain. No. You know, you still have feelings and we still interact. So, anyway, let's go to the purport. Next purport, we'll talk about this particular point. So, text 19. We'll chant the Sanskrit. How do you say the first word? Is kwa? Okay. Kwa deho botiko natma. Kwa chatma prakite para. Kashyake patiputratya. Moha eva hi karanam. Kwa deho botiko natma. Kwa chatma prakrite para. Kashyake patiputratya. Moha eva hi karanam. Kwa deho botiko natma. Kwa chatma prakrite para. Kashyake patiputratya. Moha eva hi karanam. Ladies? Hadeho botiko natma. Kachatma prakrite para. Kashyate puti putaka. Moha. Kwa, where is? Deha, this material body. Botika, made of 5 elements. Anatma, not the spirit soul. Kwa, where is? Cha, also. Atma, the spirit soul. Prakrite, to the material world. Para, transcendental. Kasya, of whom? Ke, who is? Pati, husband. Putra adya, or son, and so on. I guess that's in reference to all the demigods. Or son, and so on. Anyway. Moha, illusion. Eva, indeed. He, certainly. Karanam, cause. Translation. Kasyapa Muni continued. What is this material body? I'm going to read the translation. You don't have to follow. Okay. What is this material body? Made of 5 elements. It is different from the spirit soul. Indeed, the spirit soul is completely different from the material elements from which the body is made. But because of bodily attachment, one is regarded as a husband or son. These illusory relationships are caused by misunderstandings. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. The spirit soul, Atma or Jiva, is certainly different from the body, which is a combination of 5 material elements. This is a simple fact, but is not understood unless one is spiritually educated. Right? I mean, this idea, this Dehi no Smenyata Dehe Komaran Yovananjara, that doesn't require, how do you say, some blind faith. You just believe because I read it in some scripture. As Prabhupada says, this is scientific. It's a fact. By observation, you can understand these things. Dhiras tatra yamuriti, one who is dhira, who is sober. In other words, as sometimes they say, if you step out of the box, think out of the box, you just stop your activities for a minute and just observe what is going on. You can see that I must not be the mind. The mind is dictating to me, isn't it? Every second, it never stops. Even when you go to sleep, it doesn't stop. Always nagging, do this, do that, you like this, you don't like that. Yes, no, isn't it? And we can see, even in science, they can see through biology, we're not the body. So, Prabhupada mentions here, but is not understood unless one is spiritually educated. So spiritual education is not like material education. Material education is, I can't think of the word to describe, but in a sense of kind of linear, like mathematics. You learn this system. 1 + 1 = 2, 2 + 2 = 4, 4 - 3 = 1. It kind of has a systematic following. You go, I've got it. You see? And then you can become more advanced in mathematics depending on your work. If I'm just a rickshaw walla, then I just need to know how to add and subtract the money I get. But if I want to build buildings, be an engineer, then you need more advanced mathematics, calculus, trigonometry, all these things. But that has to do with the body. So spiritual education, sometimes we may take it like that. I simply read the book, and then you gain the knowledge. But spiritual education requires more than that. The spiritual education, what is it we're trying to see? We're not trying to see with our eyes. We're not trying to see with our intelligence even. You have to see. You can see according to your heart. That's Premanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochalena. Depending on your heart, you will see accordingly. So for those, Krishna says, that are very demoniac, envious, when you tell them they're not the body, they don't agree. We see Srila Prabhupada in his travels, especially he would often quote Professor Kautsky from Russia. Did you you went with Prabhupada in Russia? Okay. You listen to that interview, and it's amazing. He's like, no, Swamiji. Prabhupada's right in front of him, and he's telling him. And he doesn't agree. All right? Most of us, I know as soon as I read the Back to Godhead, I was like, yeah, it makes perfect sense. I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, God is blue. It sounds perfect sense. So how do you explain that? Big learned scientists. Can any of us make one of these devices? Who knows how to make one of these? It's made out of sand. Most of the material is sand. They transform sand into this. That seems brilliant, doesn't it? How can such a person cannot understand he's not the body? Because he's full of envy. Right? When two people are full of envy and fighting, no one can settle the argument. No amount of logic. Isn't it? So we're rebellious. I want to be the Lord. I don't want to be the servant. So in that mentality, Maya is covering us. So spiritual education is learning to see with the heart, actually. That's what it boils down to. Because Shakyamuni met with his wife Aditi in the heavenly planets, but the same misconception extends throughout the entire universe and is also here on earth. Of course, he's referring to her bewilderment, that lamenting for her children's, her son's predicament. They lost everything. So those of us who have children or have families, that's always a concern, isn't it? You want to manage your life in such a way that I'm never put in this position, that I have to lose everything. So there are different grades of living entities, but all of them are more or less under the impression of the bodily conception of life. In other words, all living entities in this material world are more or less devoid of spiritual education. The Vedic civilization, however, is based on spiritual education. And spiritual education is the special basis of which Bhagavad Gita was spoken to Arjuna. In the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna instructed Arjuna to understand the spirit soul is different from the body. Dehi nosmen yatha dehe komaran yavananjara tata dehantara paptir dhiras tatra namuyati. As the embodied soul continually passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. This self-realized soul is not bewildered by such a change. Unfortunately, this spiritual education is completely absent from modern human civilization. No one understands his real self-interest, which lies with the spirit soul, not with the material body. Education means spiritual education. To work hard in the bodily conception of life without spiritual education is to live like an animal. Nayam deho deho brajam nirloke kastan kaman aditi vidi bujan ye. Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 5th chapter, verse 1. People are working so hard simply for bodily comforts, without education regarding the spirit soul. Thus, they are living in a very risky civilization. For it is a fact that the spirit soul has to transmigrate from one body to another. Tata dehantara praptir. Without spiritual education, people are kept in dark ignorance and do not know what will happen to them after the annihilation of the present body. They are working blindly, and blind leaders are directing them. Andara yatadari upanyanamaste pisham tantriam urudam bada. Bhagavatam, 7th canto, chapter 5, verse 31. A foolish person does not know that he is completely under the bondage of material nature, and that after death, material nature will impose upon him a certain type of body, which he will have to accept. He does not know that although in his present body, he may be a very important man, he may get the body of an animal or a tree because of his ignorant activities in the modes of material nature. Therefore, the Krishna conscious movement is trying to give the true light of spiritual existence to all living entities. This movement is not very difficult to understand, and people must take advantage of it, for it will save them from the risky life of irresponsibility. Om Agani Timiranjasa Gananjanan Shlokaya Chakshume Tomayanatas Mai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpa Turbiyascha Kripa Sindhu Beva Cha Pati Tanam Pavebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pastai Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Vicharani Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Pasyata Deshatarne. So this is the position of the living entities that, well, better than to say that, even those, well, let's put it this way, those who are not fully realized, who have full love for Krishna. As we know, the Devatas are referred to as demigods, which means their position, of course, is much elevated than the humans in terms of their consciousness. They are conscious that Vishnu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Here on the earthly planet, people don't have that consciousness. We have the consciousness that when we look out, we can see there's many stars, many planets. We can see that we are more elevated than the animals and the other forms of life. But to understand that there's a controller, somehow or another we don't have that consciousness, especially in this age of Kali. The mode of ignorance is more prevalent, and as time it will become even more strong. So therefore, to awaken that consciousness requires the association of one who has that consciousness, and that's the position of the Vaishnavas who come. Therefore, Prabhupada, at the end of this purport, emphasizes that therefore the Krishna conscious movement is trying to give the true light of spiritual existence to all living entities. Those of you born in India, of course, I think many of you have always known you're not the body, right? Isn't it? And I took this birth because of my karma. So that's very fortunate. You get a certain peace of mind, don't you? If something bad comes, what do you think immediately? That's my karma. Something good comes, oh, that's nice karma. And generally, therefore, you become religious. Oh, let me approach the Devatas so that I can avoid my bad karma and have good karma. Most of us from the West, we weren't that fortunate. I still remember myself not feeling like that. I really felt I am this body and felt I'm this mind. And you suffer so much as a result of it, if you think back. And just then again, I remember reading back to Guided Magazine. It was such a relief to understand what is my position. So that's just the beginning of spiritual life. Now we want to rise, we can see what is happening, we want to rise above it. Isn't it? And through further knowledge, we can understand that what is that force which is keeping us in this false understanding. That is Krishna's external energy. It's Prakriti, Guna, Karma. Prakriti, help me with the verse there. Yeah, ahankara vimudama kartamiti manyate, that this external energy of Krishna is actually doing everything. But under her illusion, we're identifying with this body and we think, no, it's actually me doing everything. Even though we know it, it's been explained to us still. We can't come out of it. Doesn't it seem bewildering? I can't even force myself out that consciousness. I want to come out of it. But still it's forced on me. Aditi is in that position. It's natural to have affection for your children and your family. It should be. Of course, in Kali Yuga, things are very messed up. So most people don't even care for children. They're a burden. Have an abortion. Just kill them. Don't even have one. Isn't it? For my enjoyment, I can cause all kind of suffering to others. So, as Kashyapa Muni could see, she's bewildered a little bit. And he has to try to, being the husband, try to lead her out of this bewilderment. So he decides to arrange for her to perform a jaga, a very particular jaga that's going to at the same time connect her with Vishnu and at the same time arrange for her to have her children return to their positions. So it's not very clear if that's going to be a success in a sense. You know, that's mixed devotion. And as we know, this Krishna conscious movement, especially in the 70s, I joined in 74, and as I mentioned before, by that time everything was pretty much fixed. You just fit right into the routine, you know. And the mood was actually where the Bhagavad Gita begins. Sarvadhamma ends, Sarvadhamma prityaja. Just give up everything. You say, don't worry about religion, don't worry about any of these things. You just surrender unto me, and I'll protect you from all these reactions. Don't have any fear. This is how Prabhupada executed the Krishna conscious movement. And the devotees surrendered like that. They gave up everything. It wasn't even a second thought, you know. You move in the temple, and after a week, they find the biggest truck, and they drive to your house, and they take all your things too. What else do you have? You pack the whole truck up, you bring it back to the temple, and sell it all. And sleep on the hard floor. It was, you know, it was actually irresponsible, isn't it? You read some letters from the Indian devotees who wanted to surrender. And did you read Prabhupada's letters to him? Was that your duty or the secretary? Sometimes you would read them, Sorry? He would. Oh, I remember there's one where he's reading for one person writes Prabhupada. I have my family, and I have to take care of my mother, and I want to surrender. If you could provide some small income for me, I can surrender. And Prabhupada writes back, you know, you have to surrender like these Western boys. It was no money. You want to surrender to me, then you become like these Western boys. You know? So, it wasn't very many Indian people surrendered in those days. I would dare say, out of those 5,000 disciples, how many were Indian? What do you think? Maybe 100. Just guessing. You know, it was hard. You had to, and it was austere in India. India was very austere to be in India at that time. I don't know how devotees did it. I couldn't do it. There's nothing to eat. It was just... But, you know, Prabhupada, by associating with him, you get that taste. And his mood was that. So that drove us to serve in that way. So here we are now. We have to deal with these issues. These issues are always here in front of us. So what to do? What to do? We have to mix our lives. You have to eat, as I mentioned. You have to sleep, don't you? We have to take care of our bodies. So Krishna in the Gita gives some direction on that. What does he say? Don't eat too much, don't eat too little. Don't sleep too much, don't sleep too little. You know, just tell me exactly what to do. Eat this much, sleep this much. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Just eat a handful of food and sleep 3 hours. Okay, at least I know what the goal is. But it's different for everyone. You cannot say it's the same for everyone. And you cannot say because someone only eats a handful of food and only sleeps 3 hours, he's more Krishna conscious. You can't say that. Some of those disciples who were most dear to Prabhupada, you know, they were... I couldn't do the service they did, but maybe I could follow things more strictly than they did. Somebody might want to close those windows because
The Mayapur windstorm has decided to Haribo, got a little bit there. So, therefore, we cannot have just Shastra. I'll just take the books and I'll figure it out on my own. No, you require sadhu, and not only sadhu, you require guru. What is the position of guru? Guru is one who we know has very fixed in fulfilling the orders of the Supreme Person of Godhead through parampara. And with affection, we should serve that guru. This is where we can awaken our heart. Krishna says in the Gita how one should tadvidi pradipatena padipashena seva, that you should approach and inquire, but before you inquire, you should render some service. You see, all these things are there. So spiritual life is going to be, it's mostly gray, it's not black and white. We would like it to be that way, but it's not going to be like that. And this pastime highlights that very well. As you know, later on, Bali Maharaj is going to be, he's a demon. He's serving the demons, but he's a Mahajan. That in itself is bewildering, isn't it? And then he's going to have to choose. Krishna puts him in a position. You're going to satisfy me, or you're going to satisfy your guru? Yeah. And his guru brought him back to life. He was dead. Why did Krishna do that to him? He could have made some other arrangement. So this is the nectar of Krishna consciousness. When you get these situations, you shouldn't lament. You should feel like, yeah, I got a nice challenge. You see? If you can survive these small challenges, then you'll get the bigger ones. Then you can enter into Krishna's personal association, where every day is a challenge, isn't it? Especially we see his greatest devotees. They're put in all kinds of predicaments. Look at the gopis. Why does Krishna have to have rasa dance in the middle of the night? He could have it in the afternoon, because then they can sneak away and nobody would know. No, he waits till they're in bed, and it's midnight, and he begins to play his flute. Now they have to decide, what am I going to do? So, you see. So, the spiritual energy is full of these predicaments. The material energy is full of these predicaments. You cannot avoid predicaments. Spiritual life does not mean no predicament. That's not what it means. It means when you awaken your love, you can navigate through those things. And out of love, you can make all kinds of sacrifices. Just as Aditi, for sure, somehow or another, the affection for her sons are so great that she's willing to put aside her Krishna consciousness for the sake of her children. Who can fault her for that? Right? Who can fault her for that? Because Shyampa, being her husband and guru, he expertly engages her. And in the end, Vamanadeva appears. You see how it all connects? So if you have all these things in place, you can get nice pastime at the end of all your leela. So we all have our leelas that we have to deal with. All of us. And they're all unique. And as you advance, they become, more intriguing. So if you get a chance, you should try to talk to some of the older devotees. When you get a chance, maybe they'll reveal some of the things, challenges they had to go through. And the fact that they're still here, that is the success, actually, when you think about it, isn't it? I still can't believe I'm still here. I think, man, I should have so many good reasons not to be Krishna conscious, I guess, to this level. You know, I have a 92-year-old mother, and my sister, she looks at me, you're the oldest son. Why am I taking care of her? You know? I have all these duties, and you're just running around the world chanting Hare Krishna. So at one point, I was talking with her, and my mother was there. My mother, in the beginning, when I became a devotee, she wasn't happy. She told me she would commit suicide if I did not leave. And she was serious. She was very serious. And I read that letter, and I just balled it up and threw it away. I said, she's not that body. Prabhupada said the one advantage in the Western devotees is that they're irresponsible. So who else would take to Krishna consciousness? You had to be irresponsible. All right? And in the end, she came to the temple and she changed. She changed. She didn't kill herself. And here we are many years later, and this predicament is there. And I look at her, because my sister's there, and I said, I'm going to take you to India. How about that? You want to come with me to India? Because I knew my mother was kind of an adventurous person when she was young. She wanted to be in the Peace Corps and travel and help people. And in the course of time, she developed a taste for samosas. So whenever she see me, she always, would you bring me some samosas? You know. I said, I'll take you to India. You can have all the samosas you want. She goes, yes, let's go. Let's go to India. And then immediately my sister changed her mind because she knew I won't be able to see she's not coming to India. So Krishna fixed that situation for me. So anyway, the purport to this is that you have to use whatever knowledge you have at the moment. You take advice from sadhu and guru, and in the end, with your heart, you make your decision and you go forward. And then you judge it by the result, whether it was the right thing to do or not. And if it's the wrong thing, then don't be bewildered. Learn from the lesson and go forward. It's expected we're going to make mistakes. We're conditioned souls, right? So we shouldn't lament about that. Also in this pastime that was shown with Lord Shiva, was it not? I want to see Mohini Murti. Let me see why these demigods were so bewildered. And look what happened to him. Did he lament? So a lot of lessons were in this pastime. Anyway, we'll stop there because we only have about 5 minutes. I wanted to at least mention something of Madhavendra Puri. And as we should be aware, Madhavendra Puri was the spiritual master of and Advaita Acharya and technically Nityananda. And as we know, we get to celebrate every year the wonderful pastime of Govardhan Puja, one of my favorite festivals, isn't it? Lots of prasad, lots of dancing, you know, no fasting. Very nice festival. Nice pastime also. Indra jostling with Krishna in the residence of Vrindavan. So Madhavendra Puri, he, as we know, brought that pastime to us. Also, he is well known for, what else? Kirchor Gopinath, isn't it? So, in his endeavor to satisfy his deity in bringing sandalwood, still Krishna engaged him in some nice pastimes there also. So because of Madhavendra Puri, we are now have available to us this mood of separation from Krishna, which was not known before then. And as I mentioned, we only have 5 minutes. So today you take some time and you can read about Madhavendra Puri. So we're going to stop there on Madhavendra Puri. And also Srinivas Acharya, his appearance day yesterday also. And his leader is also very unique in that mood of separation. He appeared at a time where he had to miss the association of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates. And even Mahaprabhu, he had ordered that Srinivas, he should be trained up in this philosophy, in these books. And he wanted Jiva Goswami, and I'm sorry, Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami to do this. But to go to Vrindavan in those days is not very easy. Even now it's a little difficult. Even if you go by train, it's not an easy journey, is it? Imagine you have to walk. So by the time he reached Vrindavan, even Rupa Goswami, after Sanatan passed, he was trying to stay. He says, I don't know how long I can survive because I'm feeling separation from Sanatan Goswami. But to fulfill the order of Mahaprabhu, I'm going to try to stay. But by the time he arrived, he departed. So he instructed Jiva Goswami to instruct him. And he put him under the care of Gopal Bhatta, who became his guru. Both of them were considered his guru. And they, of course, in those days, we didn't have books like this, very convenient. Another mercy of Mahaprabhu. You can have all the Bhagavatam very nice, and right, or you can put it on your phone. And imagine palm leaves. If you get a chance, you can go to Calcutta and see Hari Sari's. He has some manuscripts. You have anything from, you have things from Goswamis there on the original palm leaf? Is there a microphone there?
We do have some original writings about Vinod and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, but going further back than that, it's very difficult to find anything original. There is one temple in Navadvip, the Garangital Mandir. They have about 400 of these palm tals, and written on that is the 10th canto, which they say was written by Gadadhar Pandit. And on the leaves themselves, on some of them, there's the main body of the text, and then there's a top line or bottom line has been added, like an annotation, which they claim were actually written by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. There's one or two other places where they claim they have some original writing of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but I don't know of any. Well, the 6 Goswamis, some of the works in Delhi, but not so much stuff.
So of course we know, you can imagine how much literature there was in the way they were writing it. And then he had the task of bringing this literature out of Vrindavan. And we all know that pastime. Eventually, the king stole the literature because he thought it was some great treasure. There's a lot of detail to that pastime you can find online, very intricate. Actually, he was another one. He's a king, but he's a devotee. But he's a plunderer. Because that's what kings do. That's how they get their wealth. but he's a devotee. So how do you be a devotee and steal from people at the same time? How do you be a devotee and be a prostitute? They're devotee prostitutes even. But that's not what we practice, of course. But anyway. And his great fortune was Srinivasacharya came there and stayed with him and made him a devotee. He became a great devotee. And later on, of course, he was part of the first celebration of Lord Chaitanya's appearance, the first opening festival. He also married at the insistence of his devotees, because his mother was a great devotee, and she desired that he have children. Imagine, he's a great, already liberated person, and to fulfill the desire of his mother, he marries. He didn't have to do that. Not only did he married twice. 2 times. He had 2 wives. Because the first wife, the sons all passed away. And another unique thing that occurred, his 3 daughters, they became gurus. They had disciples. Yeah, they're female gurus. So, yeah, these pastimes of the devotees are very unique, very intriguing, and they're not typical. So Christian consciousness is not something you can put in a box and this is what it is and this is how you do it. No, that's maybe Brahmanism at best, you can say. It's more than that. And once you, with love, then you know how to act and perform all your different duties. And it's different for everyone. So we'll stop there. Any other comments or questions? So give the mic to Prabhu here.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of Kashyapa Muni, because he has 2 wives, Diti and Aditi, which means he's the father of both demons and the demigods. So he always has to be in a situation whereby he has to satisfy his 2 wives. So Diti wanted to have children, so he has to satisfy her, and then he got Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, 2 demons, great demons. And then this is also, Aditi also praying to him, satisfy me. So he always have to live a kind of a compromised life. So it's kind of like a tough situation.
Yeah. Haribol, thank you. Maharaj, Maharaj, anything you want to add or? No, okay.
You said that the demigods were bewildered with Mohini avatar. That's not true. The demigods were not bewildered because they were focused on getting the nectar.
Thank you.
Shiva was bewildered.
And the demons, because they allowed her to. Thank you for that correction. I get a little nervous, and anyway. Anything else? Okay. We can all go into the storm waiting for us. All glory, Shri Guru, Shri Gauranga, Hari Hari Bol.